What's up, Raider Nation? Today we're going to talk about the biggest steals in the third round historically. We know the Raiders had the 86th pick in the draft in the third round after trading away their first rounder and second rounder for Davante Adams. And I know our recent third round picks haven't worked out. We've selected Tanner Muse in 2020, Lynn Bowden in 2020. We know how that shit panned out. But we also grabbed Divine Diablo last year along with Malcolm Kuntz, and Brian Edwards, I think, despite injuries, has been a solid third round pick in 2020. So when we look at this, we realize you could still find real talent in the third round, and I'm going to go through my top 5 third round steals within the past 3 years. By the way, like this video if you think the Raiders are going to find a steal in the third round this year. And make sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this every single day. I think this is obvious. The best third round pick in the past 3 years is from the 2019 draft class, and that's none other than wide receiver Terry McLaurin of the Washington Commanders. The Commanders selected McLaurin in the third round with the 76th pick. McLaurin has had a monster career, and that is exactly why he is not showing up to voluntary workouts right now. He's one of the few wide receivers who are trying to get a big contract right now. People are saying that McLaurin's deal is going to be $20 million a year, and that's the floor. It is expected to be a lot more than $20 million. So if you're commanding this amount of cash and you have this amount of leverage, you must have been a stellar third round pick. And McLaurin has been hyped for the past few years. PFF was listing McLaurin as a potential All-Pro heading into the 2021 season. McLaurin racked up 77 receptions last year with over 1,000 yards, and he has been blessed, according to him, to have back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. The 6', 208-pound wide receiver is expected to be one of the top wide receivers in the NFL for many years to come, and I would say that the Washington Commanders hit a home run on this third-round pick. And my second steal of the third round in most recent years is 2019 draft pick by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers cornerback Jamel Dean. The Buccaneers selected Jamel Dean in the third round with pick 94, and he has been a very productive defensive back for them for several years. For this upcoming year, Jamel Dean is listed as a top defensive breakout candidate for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. During the season, Buccaneers fans had been raving that Jamel Dean is criminally underrated after subbing in for injured cornerback Carlton Davis. Sports Illustrated said that Jamel Dean has quietly emerged as one of the NFL's most dominant cornerbacks this year in the absence of fellow Buccaneers starters. Jamel Dean is expected to get seriously paid this year, and that's what happens when you have stellar seasons like his. Dean was apparently harder to throw against in 2021 than Carlton Davis, who has just been signed to a massive contract. Opposing quarterbacks throwing against Dean completed 32 of 66 passes for 319 yards with no touchdowns and 2 interceptions for a 50 passer efficiency rating. Wow, that's impressive to get that kind of cornerback in the third round. I really like bringing up Jamel Dean because the Raiders don't have a cornerback under contract for 2023. It's just 1-year deals in 2022. We've brought a lot of cornerbacks in for visits. We know we brought in Tariq Woolen, Barnes, and some other people. So if the Raiders can find somebody like Dean in the third round, expect that to be a draft to remember for years to come. The next player I want to mention is from Alabama. It's the running back, Damien Harris, selected in the 2019 draft by the New England Patriots in the third round with pick 87. This running back had a stellar season, 929 yards in New England, and that's difficult because they have a heavy rotation of running backs. He had an 87.8 PFF grade and scored 15 touchdowns. Damien Harris, this running back, had 15 touchdowns last year. And during last season, you saw the power rankings for Damien Harris. He was ranked 15th among all running backs in the NFL. And former New England Patriot LeGarrette Blount had a problem with this. Wow, the disrespect, shaking my head. Damien Harris at 15? No disrespect to the other guys, but hell nah, shaking my head. Remember this list, Damien, bro. Now, this chart was listed during the season. Now, when you look at how Damien Harris performed, wow, he was really impressive and a lot better than a lot of running backs on this list. I will say so myself. Patriots fans were celebrating this guy all season. He was a legit steal for them, having a starting running back in the third round. Patriots Damien Harris deserves more love among NFL's best running backs, and the stats back it up. By week 8 in the 2021 season, Damien Harris had the 8th most rushing yards with 437, 3rd in rushing touchdowns with 5, and has 300-yard games in the first 7 contests. That's very impressive. That was 2nd in the NFL. So this guy was very impressive, and he had to be included on the list, especially after last season. Now, I also want to mention wide receiver Deontay Johnson, drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers in the third round with pick 66 in the 2019 draft. This guy is extremely talented, and that is why he's looking for a payday as well, along with players like Terry McLaurin. So Pittsburgh has some mixed feelings about this guy, especially since he is pursuing a big payday, but why wouldn't you when you picked up 107 receptions last year and 1,100 receiving yards? yards. In addition to that, he had 8 touchdowns. This guy was very impressive last year. We know he's already reached the Pro Bowl in his career. And last year, with everything going on with Pittsburgh, the decline of Ben Roethlisberger, Pittsburgh fans were saying that Deontay Johnson has been the bright spot for the Steelers offense. After the first 12 weeks of the season, Deontay Johnson in 2021 had put up 68 receptions, 6th most in the NFL, 809 yards, 12th in the NFL, 4 touchdowns, 30th in the NFL, and only 1 drop. Wow. This guy is very impressive and is definitely going to get paid for years to come. And people saw this coming even before the 2021 season. PFF named Steelers Deontay Johnson as an offensive breakout player, and he definitely did break out. So there's no doubt the Steelers hit a home run on this 3rd round pick, and they historically have done very well at drafting wide receivers. The last player I want to bring up is running back David Montgomery, drafted in the 3rd round in 2019 by the Chicago Bears with the 73rd pick. This guy has been a starting running back for them for several years, and that's amazing to get that in the 3rd round. You see people like Damien Harris selected in the 3rd round. Then you got David Montgomery, and he has some history with Josh Jacobs.
You got the bill, right? Yo. Bro, he always doing that.
That was from the London game in 2019. David Montgomery was able to pick up 849 yards last year with 225 carries, and he's been a stable piece for the Bears for the past years. We know the fan base isn't 100% sold on him, but that's just the nature of the game when you have a losing franchise. However, David Montgomery is a favorite of the Bears' new regime, and he could be expected to get a big payday from this team despite the fact that they have changed coaching staffs, moving on from Matt Nagy. If it wasn't for a knee injury, last year might have been Montgomery's 2nd consecutive 1,000-yard rushing campaign. The 24-year-old back ended up missing just 3 games. By season's end, he still contributed 1,150 multi-purpose yards. It's a testament to both Montgomery's talent and his drive. So despite the fact that he did battle with injuries, he was still able to rack up a lot of production for a team that is a losing franchise too. You have to keep in mind he doesn't have that much help around him. Passing game was terrible with the Bears, and the defense wasn't hot either. So had Montgomery gone to a better franchise, we don't know. Maybe we'd be hearing his name a lot more, but I still think he was a steal in the 3rd round for the Chicago Bears. Now, I only did mention the 2019 draft with my top 5 people, and that's because there's nobody in 2020 who I really saw pop ahead of these guys. I will give a shout out to the football team drafting Antonio Gibson in the 3rd round in 2020, and the Bengals drafting Logan Wilson, the linebacker, in 2020. I do have some honorable mentions that I did not cover, which is Devin Duvernay by the Ravens, Lucas Nyang, the offensive tackle for the Chiefs, and Cameron Dantzler, the cornerback for the Minnesota Vikings. The nature of it is that draft picks take time to develop, so the reason why we also don't have any 2020 people on this list is because it takes time to actually create those accomplishments that would put you on this list. And that's why you have people like Deontay Johnson, people like Damien Harris on this list. If it wasn't for this past season and the production they had this past season, they would not be on this list. Either way, let me know who your favorite recent draft pick is in the 3rd round. I just went over the past 3 years, the most relevant years. And also, let me know who you think the Raiders are going to select in the 3rd round. We still have some needs on this team. Interior defensive line could be a problem, so can the right tackle position. And hey, why not add some more competition at cornerback? Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like this video if you watched it all the way through, and subscribe to this channel for more Raiders content like this. My name is WiFiWillie of the Raiders Rundown. Peace out and have a good one.